Okay, so welcome to the finale of our debate-a-thon. This is going to be our last debate, and we've obviously got our winners from the past two sessions. So, first off, on behalf of both societies, we'd like to thank you for making it this far and coming to our event so far. We have the housekeeping. If you haven't signed the essay disclaimer form already, please do in the CS events, and then the link is in the Teams meeting chat, and it's the organizers, engineers, the boarders, and the event title is Debate-a-thon. Okay, so I would like to introduce myself. I'm Dina Magid, and I'm in chemical engineering year 2. And everyone right now, I'm sorry, it's such a cramped time and we're all struggling to finish all our assignments. But hopefully this can be like a relaxing, de-stressing session. Okay, so I'm here to moderate the debate today and make sure that everyone works hard and has a lot of fun. So we'll start off with the debate, and then we will have a short Q&A session as we have done before. And we will have, and at the end of the debate, obviously, you can discuss any of your concerns. So today's motion, which was revealed until the very last debate, is this House believes that arts should be included in STEM. So this has been like a trending topic where they wanted to call it STEAM. As we have mentioned in our emails, we're having the audience decide and they are to judge as before, obviously, again. So the debaters will be judged on these categories: matter, meaning the substance of the debate, the arguments and evidence presented, and the logical reasoning and presentation of said arguments; manner, which is the style of delivery, the presentation skills, persuasion skills, and the conduct of the debaters; and then method, the response to the dynamics of the debate and the observance of the rules of the debate. You guys will be voting, so please do pay careful attention to the debate today and vote wisely on these 4 things, obviously. And also, as before, you chose 2 best speakers. Today we only have 1 best speaker, as it's the finale. So on a scale of 1 to 10, meaning 1 needs improvement and 10 is excellent. And the judging link will be in the meeting chat, and it will be open throughout the whole session. Okay, so please do take note that the Q&A session will not be included in the judging. So we will be taking in the judging sessions, we will be counting the votes during the Q&A session. So good luck to all participants. So there will be 2 teams for the debate with 3 speakers on each team. Team A will be the affirmative team, meaning that they agree with the motion, and Team B will be the opposing team and they will disagree with today's motion. Let us get to know the debaters from Team A. So please introduce yourself, your course, and answer the following icebreaking question, which is, what is your favorite quarantine trend that you participated in or you wanted to participate in? So please go ahead, the first speaker from the proposition.
Hello everyone, my name is Sarah Mustafa and I am a second-year creative writing major. As for the icebreaking question, I'm not sure what quarantine trend I have subscribed to, but I guess believing that time doesn't exist anymore and just it has been just 1 day since March. I think that's a trend.
Fun.
Yeah, thank you. And
so we'll pass it on to the second speaker.
I'm Sanjana. I'm a second-year FAM student. A quarantine trend, I wouldn't say it's really a trend, but I've been watching lots of Netflix in between classes, so yeah, I guess there's that. So, and I'm really happy that I'm here today, and I'm happy for everyone to have joined because I know it's exam and assignment season. So thank you for joining me, everyone.
Thank you. And our third speaker.
Hello. Okay, I'm Hari, and I'm a first-year civil engineering student. And I think one trend that I kind of seen quite trending recently is, I think during the COVID season, is home workouts have been really, one of the trends. I think I find it really nice, home workouts, especially skipping ropes. People like recording it in like Instagrams and all that stuff right now. So yeah, it's a good way. Yeah, so stay fit, keep healthy, and lead a healthy lifestyle. Yeah.
Wow, okay, I wish I was like this. Okay, so then for the team B, opposition, please introduce yourselves. Go ahead, first speaker.
Hello, I'm Xin Hui and I'm year 1 chemical engineering student. I don't really know what are the trends nowadays because there are like so many trends. And yeah, I just sleep and eat at home, basically. Thank you.
Perfect. Okay, so second speaker.
Hello, my name is Sharfa and I'm the second speaker for today's debate. My favorite trend for the quarantine this time is the fact that you can eat anything you want and I don't have to wear pants. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Also, I can wear whatever I want and no one can say anything. Boom.
That is very relatable. Okay, and our third speaker.
Hi everyone, I'm Shen Jian and I'm in year 1 School of Education. I think from the opposition side, it's all about eating. Yes, I was also eating a lot during quarantine period and cooking a lot as well. And I've been following one trend which happened, I think, in the beginning of this quarantine period, which was the Dalgona coffee challenge. Yeah, I did that.
Yeah, that was so nice. Okay, so I would like to thank all our speakers and also congratulate them on getting to this far. This means that you've won both your other debates. Yeah. And then here are the rules, and you probably already know them, but here's a recap. So each speaker will deliver a 7-minute constructive speech. POIs cannot be given within the first and after the 6th minute, and POIs must be less than 15 seconds. There will be a clap on the a bell, on the 1st minute, indicating that the POIs are now open, and another bell on the 6th minute, indicating POIs are closed. At the 7th minute, there will be 2 bells which will be rung, and debaters will have to wrap up their speeches. There will be a 15-second grace period for each speech, and there will be, after that, I will immediately call upon the next debater to begin their address. Timekeeper will be monitoring the event along with me today. Okay, so are there any questions? There are. Cool. Okay, so without further ado, let us start with the debate on the motion of this House believes that the arts belong in STEM. So I call upon the first speaker to introduce the proposition case for 7 minutes.
All right, I'm here. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Sarah and I'm going to be defining the motion for today's debate and as well as providing a few points to support it. Today's motion states that the arts should be included in STEM, and we fully agree with the statement. Before introducing my point, I would like to define STEM and arts. STEM refers to science, technology, engineering, and math, whereas arts is a term that represents liberal arts, language arts, social studies, physical arts, fine arts, and music. The STEM acronym was introduced in the year 2001, and it was created to play a key role in the sustained growth and sustainability of the US economy. And it did create a nation of critical thinkers and increased science literacy all over the world and so on, but a major downside of it was that it heavily solely focused on STEM and neglected everything else. Students that followed the US syllabus or attended schools that followed the US academics were only encouraged to pursue studies in STEM and were made to believe that these studies were the only ones that mattered and they were the only ones to ensure a happy and successful future. And even before the acronym STEM was introduced, many countries and cultures placed a hefty weight on pressuring everyone to take a STEM major and focus on science and math in school. I'm not saying that this is wrong or anything, but it prohibits the students and society to learn and educate themselves on things outside the STEM box. It makes students believe that they only have one set path, and straying away from that road will only bring them hardships and difficulties. The culture that we created, the culture that states that if you pursue a degree in arts field will inevitably lead to failure, is a very toxic culture that we should no longer subscribe to. It's a very harmful ideology that probably prevented millions of creative minds at reaching their potential or even discovering that they have potential. Although multiple schools and universities have integrated the concept of art and creativity into their classrooms, such as art strategies to supplement students' learning, we demand something more than that. Creativity should definitely be a part of class to enhance students' understanding and increase their abilities and so on. But the art we're talking about here is art fields and subjects, literature, history, psychology, liberal arts, social studies, and so on. They're very important to the progression of our society. Hence comes my first point. We believe that arts is just as important as STEM, and it will breed a nation of critical thinkers and ensure a promising future for them. Therefore, it should be included in STEM. The arts should be seen in the same vicinity and importance as STEM. It should be mandatory for students to take on these subjects from a young age. Arts should no longer just be electives or things that you can simply forgo and forget about. They should then be optional as well. Just as you need math and science to pass your school studies, and just as schools make you believe that you need them in your everyday life, it should be the same for arts. Although the modern world is becoming more and more STEM-oriented every year, the reality is that students have diverse minds. Kids aren't only interested in math and finding ways to nurture their development every day across a variety of academic areas is very essential to students and helps them in the future when they choose whatever field that they want to pursue. Including arts in STEM won't just improve student skills, but it abolishes the stigma that arts are less than STEM, or students that choose to partake in art field majors are academically lower than those in STEM. It will help elevate society into accepting all sorts of degrees and major and provide them with the importance and attention that they all deserve. Giving students plenty of options and subjects in schools as they grow older will provide them with a better understanding and view of the world and supplement them to make better choices when they pursue higher education. The education system and those that are in the education field should supply an education that is inclusive of all subjects and fields of studies. Our generation and the future generation need a well-rounded quality education that enables them to make informed decisions that will impact the world and the way they live. Look all around you.
Point. POI?
Whoever said POI first, go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chin, you go.
Yeah, okay. So my POI is, why do you think that STEM students would be interested in art if they're already going to pursue a field in STEM?
So, the concept here is that we're not tackling STEM students, we're tackling the concept of STEM education that is embedded in schools and high schools and all of that. We're not tackling students that take STEM. If the students choose to take STEM, that's completely okay. They should do whatever they want to do. But we're tackling the idea that only STEM subjects matter and only STEM subjects are focused in school, and they're the ones that have the most importance. They're the ones that are very focused in schools. You don't see people, you don't see schools saying that history, archaeology, literature, and all of that is very important in schools and so on. People usually focus on math, science, chemistry, biology, and so on. And
POI?
Go ahead.
Do you think it might be a side effect of the current technological and economic world we're living that art subjects are being pushed aside?
No, I don't think so, because it's been a very long, it's been for hundreds of years that people have neglected the concept of arts and arts education and liberal arts and so on, and they've only focused on STEM technology. And even in countries where it's not as advanced, as technologically advanced, people only focus on STEM subjects, and people believe that if you don't pursue a degree in STEM that you won't be able to succeed in the future and you won't be able to have a happy future. And even if, because of the whole technology and going on, that doesn't mean that arts shouldn't be included. Look all around you. What are the things that you turned to when you were sad and you were happy in quarantine? What did you do when you needed entertainment? What have you been overly using for the past few months? Wasn't it music, movies, books, and shows, and so on? Wasn't it Netflix? Wasn't it Spotify? Wasn't it all of these things? This is entertainment, and this is And this is the subjects of fields and arts, and these are the things that we relied on. And why aren't we giving these things like the attention that they deserve? Why aren't we giving them the same importance? Those symphonies and words that will continue to resonate with you for years, and they will pass the test of time. They're the concepts and subjects that they should be taught and appreciated at a very young age. We should educate our generation about the things that make our life a bit easier. We shouldn't take these things for granted. When Leonardo da Vinci said, "Study the science of art and study the art of science," I believe this is what he meant. Thank you.
Okay, so I would like to thank Sarah for her comments, and I would like to call upon the first speaker of the opposition.
Okay, I'll begin in 3, 2, 1. First of all, we are not saying that arts is not important, and we should forget about arts. We do not say this. We never say this, and we never say that we all should stop learning arts. But we should think that what is the initial intention of STEM? And we can't deny that, we certainly can't deny that the world is moving from philosophy, religion, and arts to a more scientific and technologically based world. And the initial intention of STEM is to cultivate more experts in these fields to fulfill the demand of job markets. So you're asking, why is there no any specific arts program catered to fulfill the job market? It's because there is no special needs in the job market for arts graduates. There are already a lot of people doing arts and business. On the other hand, not many people, not many youths, they pursue these STEM fields. And it is shown that 2.4 million STEM jobs around the world are unfilled. The demand is high and it is still growing. It is growing 3 times the rate of non-STEM jobs. And the focus of STEM is to bring education towards integrating and applying knowledge of maths and science. Once again, we are not saying that STEM majors should not study arts at all. But adding arts into STEM is definitely not a very good idea. When arts is added into STEM, it makes STEM no difference to general education. This dilutes the essential needs and focus for STEM. Hence, STEM becomes meaningless. For example, in Malaysia, subjects such as history, geography are already generally taught in secondary school and primary school. All people in Malaysia, everyone in Malaysia, are required to learn these subjects, including all STEM majors. STEM majors, we all have the knowledge of arts, and we are very familiar with it. We can even cite the facts of history, geography in Malaysia. We did a lot of projects on these things. And why force in arts again when we chose to do our major in STEMs? We can still learn these subjects in our free time and according to our own interests. Why force in things that we are not interested and we have already learned? And it's just a waste of time. For example, there is already MPU forcing on us. Why adding more art subjects to give us this heavy burden? We're already having difficulties coping with the heavy loads of MPU. And now we are saying that, oh, we are going to add more art subjects.
POI.
POI.
Okay. Yes?
Yeah, I'll go first. That's the problem. Everyone views the art subjects are a burden and they should be only taught in free time. Why shouldn't they be a major subject just as all the STEM subjects? That's the point we're trying to make.
Okay, first of all, STEM, people involving in the STEM is very specific. We are a group of experts, and we can so-call a minority, not minority. We can say that the majority of there are more people in other fields rather than STEM fields. And STEM should focus on STEM jobs, STEM-related subjects. And we also, many of us also do like art subjects. We can still learn in our free time. Okay, this comes to my second important point. Instead of learning art subjects as a separate subject in our studies for STEM majors, why not we just incorporate this creativity and communication skills directly into STEM content? For example, out-of-box thinking skills can be taught in our modules, and we can still do presentations, group discussions. That will be more related to our studies and more effective. Yes?
Isn't, you said just now, like presentation, those are skills from arts too. These are all creative thinking solutions that art bring for presentations. So you can't just say that it's from STEM.
Yes, but now you are saying that you're adding arts into STEM. You are saying that you are going to add arts, these subjects, into STEM. You are not saying that and we are saying that we just take the essential needs. We just learn these skills instead of learning it as a separate subject. And yes, there's already MPU, and we really do need a lot of time dealing with our STEM subjects. It's not that easy to do STEM subjects. We choose to do this, and we wouldn't want to waste our time on these things that we have learned in high schools. And yeah, that's all. Thank you.
UI, you said
yes.
arts is a waste of time. When you incorporating STEM arts into STEM, actually you're actually giving a better thinking for the students, you know. So how can you say it's a waste of time?
No, I'm not saying it's a waste of time. I'm saying that we learn the same things again and again. It's a waste of time. We already know the knowledge. And why not we just pick the essential skills for STEM students, STEM majors, instead of putting a whole lot of art subjects into STEM modules, STEM subjects. Okay, I think that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. I thank you for your remarks. I now call upon the second speaker for the proposition.
Okay, 3, 2, 1. So arts have historically and traditionally held a marginalized room in academic curriculums across borders. But when we actually widen our perspective and bring into consideration statistical surveys conducted both in the US and in other countries, the results actually run quite contrary. For example, the fact that artists make up for an occupational group that is larger than lawyers, medical doctors, and agricultural workers in the United States alone. So what we are debating today is not which path is better, STEM or STEAM, because it is merely recognizing that arts have always laid the foundation for the fields of STEM. The question is, to what extent should it be integrated? What elevating and choosing STEAM over STEM requires is a dynamic, robust change in an internalized perspective. Because with the pace that the world is moving today, and the technologies that are both being introduced and in the works, the ability to think critically in a human psychological context with empathy is a feat that statistically humanities graduates show much more than STEM graduates. So adding arts to the A in STEAM serves a much bigger purpose than expanding that acronym. It, metaphorically speaking, expands the room for innovation and creative thinking. So the reason academic professionals and educators are supporting this approach is because they have noticed that university students generally carry out the tasks assigned to them, submit the assignments on time, and do it with ease, but they lack curiosity, the out-of-the-box mindset. So exam papers and quizzes, they generally tend to point us towards a yes or a no answer. But that is a rather black and white concept. It does not account for the gray space in between, the gray space of reality. Complex problems have multiple solutions. Arts allow students to explore their options, narrow the possibilities they discover, and hone in on what solution best answers and resolves a problem. So now I'll be taking a bit of a scientific perspective. When an individual is taught a single concept, the brain creates neural pathways, connecting that concept to his or her personal experience. The more the access points or neural pathways established, the greater the chance of retention and recall. So integrating arts into the core content taught in classrooms increases the neural pathways established. This is a scientific study. So in a shorter version summary, what you're doing in essence is enhancing the students' learning experience, enhancing their ability to perform well, both in classroom and outside of classrooms. While this intertwinement may well pose challenges, because creativity is a continuum, it cannot be categorized and summated into one word. We must, as educational boards or as youth of today, attempt to include more of arts into STEM, because otherwise the motivation of eventual undergraduates will begin declining. This is a trend that was seen in the United States, that actually graduates are not coming up with out-of-the-box curiosity ideas. They don't have that creativity that they had when they were young. What is this point about our education system? Further research study, let's dive into it. Researchers have found that there's a strong relationship between instruction in the arts and learning mathematical skills and improving student observational skills in science. So according to one study, students who studied music showed improved spatial temporal reasoning skills, which then helped them learn math concepts. In another study, researchers found that students who were able to study art and evaluate like a piece of art in a critical manner, they were able to take and carry that same critical thinking into observing science experiments. So I disagree with what the previous speaker said completely, because although STEM jobs in the United States are approximately growing 3 times as fast as non-STEM jobs, there are other alarming figures to consider as well. For example, only 43% of students that enter a 4-year institution with a declared STEM major actually graduate with a STEM degree. What does this say? It is not the hardness of STEM, or it is not the complexity, because I believe if you have a passion for something, it is easier to tackle it. But the lack of creativity that has gradually, been declining the more and more we progress in education. So what we need to overcome, in essence, is a disciplinar egocentrism, which lies in the minds of academics and students that have a traditional bias towards old-fashioned methods of teaching. We need to garner the approach to bring together various disciplines, because this improves the input of not only STEM students, but non-STEM students as well. What you're doing, in essence, is creating a synergy of sorts, where creative ideas and the flow from it is free to be. Consider the other advantages of this. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Okay, so the argument isn't whether arts is important, or whether the argument isn't whether the arts should be considered important or not. The argument is whether arts itself should be considered a part of STEM. How do you think that is possible when STEM itself is all science subjects and arts itself doesn't relate to that in any way?
I think it does relate to that quite. I think you're very wrong with that.
Can you give some specific examples?
Engineering degrees. When you look at engineering degrees, or you look at, I'm not an engineering student myself, but I know for sure that building models, technological models, requires some understanding of basic arts and graphic designing. And I don't know, I would say that yes, arts are actually quite intertwined with STEM degrees. And if students are given the opportunity to, combine various disciplines together, it would actually provide a better input. Not that engineering on its own is not already doing a great job, but arts with it would be a far better thing. Yeah.
But like you said, engineering already incorporates the part of arts that it requires. Why do you think art subjects itself should be included in STEM? What more could it bring to the subject?
Because I believe that really, with the competitiveness in the world today, we need to, there are students currently pursuing engineering that are also doing something outside of it, but it's not actually being acknowledged or recognized. Combining it together is not necessarily viewed upon as acceptable by academic curriculums. That is what I have a problem with, because you're completely correct when you say that you already study the arts required for your course, but the arts that are outside of it are actually contributing towards your course. So why not incorporate that as well? That is the thing.
Could you prove how the arts outside of my course is contributing to it?
That is not a matter for me to decide, because educational boards are not accepting it. Educational boards are against that concept. It's strictly STEM versus STEAM. While it should be STEAM, the world we're going into, it requires an innovative approach, which I think arts, contributes greatly to.
But you can't give any specific examples to it.
I think it's more than 1 minute already.
The time POI is over.
Examples, and I've presented research as well. You're asking me to construct it straight up. I can't do that, but I can definitely tell you that it's important. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Thank you for your remarks. I think the time for the POIs was over. However, we can just move on. I would like to call upon the second speaker of the opposition.
Sorry, just give me a second. I always have problem with my video.
It's okay.
Hi, can you see me? Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, can we go with 3, 2, 1? Start the timer, please. Yep. Okay, the argument isn't whether art is important or not. The argument is whether art itself, the subjects, should be considered a part of STEM itself and make it STEAM. The argument of the first speaker seems to show an insecurity over what art itself has accomplished by trying to include it in an acronym that isn't considered to be a part of it, because the rest of the acronym, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, relate to each other closely. Unless the opposition, unless the House can prove with definition and with examples how the art subjects of psychology, humanities can actually bring together more into the STEM field than it already has, then I believe that the arts itself should be a separate field. Not saying that the arts does not contribute to STEM, but the arts subject itself should not be a part of STEM. How is it logically able to be a part of STEM unless the House can prove that art subjects are logically, as a subject, work within STEM itself perfectly? Then the House's feelings on the subject do not matter. What makes it, then you said that the what art did was like it brought you entertainment. What makes you think that all the Netflix, Facebook, Snapchat, and all of that could have been achieved without a focus on STEM itself specifically and technology for you to enjoy your entertainment on? For the second speaker's rebuttals, how can you say that it's a fundamental part of STEM when there is no physical example that you have added that proves that it is the core of STEM? What makes you think that art could work within STEM itself? All the, just a second, all the examples you exhibited was for the importance of art itself, not what it can bring into the STEM subject field. What exactly can the art give us within the STEM curriculum itself as formal subjects? In an increasingly technological world, a practical and political necessity arises to educate young people to be more capable and confident in the STEM field itself. Subjects necessary are also identified from a perceived economic imperative, which is to provide a more STEM educated workforce. First of all, let me redefine what exactly it is when we say STEM students and the STEM workforce for the audience in our own debate. STEM subjects and workforce basically include studies that lead to doctors, engineers, mathematicians, scientists, and even entrepreneurs. The Oxford Research Encyclopedia of Education states that in an increasingly technological world, these STEM workforce are the fundamental center and backbone of our economy. It is their breakthroughs and work that modern economy is based around and is used by business and society makes itself flourish. As the opposition, I would like to add that by adding formal art subjects to STEM itself just isn't necessary and is instead counterproductive for STEM students because, go on.
The argument we're trying to make again isn't that we want to integrate arts into STEM students. We want to integrate art into the STEAM when we teach it in schools. STEAM in schools, not in university and so on.
Yes. Can I continue my point? My point would will show that. Okay. So it isn't about whether students should not be allowed to study arts. We're saying that arts itself should not be graded because, like you said, arts is a creative process. It's a fundamental humane process. It teaches you critical thinking. It teaches you social skills and things like that. The arts itself, when it's graded, right, it becomes formal education. What we're saying is that STEM students should be, even in schools, should be allowed to study STEMs and use the arts as a creative outlet. It should not be graded because it takes away from the very foundation of art. That is what we're trying to say. This opposition is in no way saying that skills like creative thinking or being socially capable isn't things that STEM students don't need to know. But adding arts to our formal curriculum just isn't necessary for us to achieve the same result. Instead, it adds unnecessary pressure to students who are already dying from work. Through my following points, I will be proving to you why this is not only necessary, but also counterproductive, which is why the opposition should win today's debate. Personally, I'm not saying that the liberal arts are not relevant in any way, but where exactly is its place in the formal schedule of STEM kids, whose existing subjects already don't give them the time to sleep at night? Take me, for example. I wrote this speech in under an hour because of how busy my schedule is. Imagine the stress on my brain if extra subjects were added to all of this that go towards my GPA. Arts should be allowed to be where it is right now.
as a creative outlet for people. And if people want to go for it in the future, then they can, because it's not as if it's being completely taken away from the curriculum. It's just not a part of STEM itself. I would like to argue. Yes, sure, go ahead.
When we defined arts in the beginning, we mentioned that it's not just arts as in music, it's also history, psychology, liberal arts, and social studies. These are subjects that can be graded, and these are subjects that are important for your progression in the world as a 21st century generation.
When you want to include arts in STEAM, as STEAM, you are saying that you only want it to be in a school situation, but that's not the case. If you were to make it into STEAM, it would actually apply to the university curriculum as well. How on earth is it going to go towards me? How is it going towards my future? How is it going to help me? These are the skills that arts teaches are skills that I can learn through outside things. I have a hobby. I have interests outside of it. I don't need a formal education of art in my STEM subjects in order to be able to appreciate it or use it in the future. Thank you. For my second point, I would like to go back to STEM and its fundamental importance in economic growth and our current technological marketplace. The only reason that so many STEM students are there in the world right now is because it is required in the world right now. But even after all of that, the very amount of people who will go towards art in the future is more than the people who go towards STEM. So adding arts to STEM itself not only increases the pressure of all the students who are already struggling to sleep at night, it also goes against the people that are trying to, go towards arts itself. Why not keep them separate? Why does art have to be a part of STEM itself in order to actually have any relevance? I would like to end it by saying that formally adding arts to STEM to make it STEAM is actually counterproductive because it dilutes STEM, because it doesn't bring anything to STEM subjects itself. Thank you. Oh, one more thing. Why not help us revamp STEM and decrease the pressure of the students who are studying it? Why not increase the relevance of art as a field itself? Why does it have to be a part of STEM in order to have relevance? Art itself should be important, but not as a part of STEM. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for your remarks. I would like to call upon the third speaker for the proposition.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, right? Okay, wait. 1, 2, 3. Okay, see, right now, one thing you can see right now, the opposition team right now has got the whole topic wrong. They're thinking that right now we're talking about arts education, We're not talking about arts education. We are incorporating arts into STEM. And you see, one of the first speakers said actually, STEM is becoming meaningless. Art, and he also said arts is history subject. We are not talking about MPUs. Arts is not solely about history. It could be a form of music, dance, anything else. And you can see, second speaker asked for more example. Let me give you more example. You know the Hubble Space Telescope? It's a great design, great invention, has lots of STEM integrated into it. Well, the images comes from it, from space, are beautiful, right? You can see with the stars, galaxy, and planets and all. But if you can see the original image is produced by the instrumentation, it's actually in terms of ones and zeros, binary codes, binary numbers. You can't just interpret these numbers from STEM. This is what STEM is giving you. But scientists actually, what are they doing is they're throwing false colors into these images so that they can understand which gas is particularly they're seeing. And have you heard about the red shift and the blue shift, which is the one which incorporating, which is the wavelength, whether it's far or near. These are colors that are being put inside the scientists put into it so that it's easier to interpret by normal people. We get a better audience, a bigger crowd of audience to people to picture and analyze it. See? And for maths, for example, you still remember, the Mobius strip? It's one of the things that can actually involve and explain to you the key math concepts about it. Technology, for example, STEM technology, you talk about STEM, technology itself has impacted the whole world. And about virtual reality, most of it is from arts. As you can see, these are visual arts, graphics art, computer designing, which is incorporated into the coding system, which makes STEM what it is. Without arts, we can't go without anything in the future. You see, right now, a man by the name Howard Gardner came up and talked about a theory about multiple intelligence, and he said that there are auditory learners, kinesthetic learners, people that learn to touch and all that. And you see, we are all getting different gifts and strengths, and to create an educational system where only one type of learning is preferred is absurd and not only unfair, but it sacrifices the God-given, given abilities for students and the good will of the world. See, everybody watching this, please close your eyes. Imagine a child sitting in the back of your classroom, and he never raises his hand. He fails most of his classes, but inside of him lives a passion. And if nurtured, will brought him out to being the cure for cancer. But you see, that child's gift will never come out. Because you know why? He was ignored. He was only judged by his scores. In order to really succeed in whatever, math, the sciences and engineering and all, you have to be able to think outside of the box. And you have to have creative problem solver. And all that disciplines, which is just STEM solely, thought is not totally creative at all. Creative thinking is in the arts. A certain amount of arts education doesn't mean that can you please mute your speech? To grow up to anything else, business, engineering, science, and can be better than be that. You succeed more. Can you please okay. You see, what I do know is that a country without art is not a country that I want to live in. If there's a country without science, basically you're living in a cave. We measure the success of civilization by how well they treat their creative people. And it's the same thing too that we should practice in our educational system too. Sorry, reject. We don't need to make robot zombies. The world has progressed, and now we need people who think creatively, innovatively, independently, with the ability to connect. So that should be our task. No more common core. Instead, let's reach the core of every heart in every class. Sure, math is important, but no more than art or dance. Let's give every gift an equal chance. I know this sounds like a dream, but countries like Finland, you see, they are doing impressive things. They have shorter school days. Students are getting an equal opportunity of learning, becoming all-rounded students, focusing on collaboration instead of competition. But here's the kicker, guys, in here. Their educational system outperforms every other country in the world. You see, would you agree that most of the future careers will be automated? So people who need to succeed should be curious, innovative, and resilient to adapt to these new changes. In today's world, creativity is the most important leadership. And where you get that from is from the arts. You don't have to believe me, but maybe you will believe the 1,500 executives from IBM Global CEO study, and who said, and I quote, creativity is the most important leadership skill. See, pretty soon no one will be hired because of what they know, because who cares of what you know if you memorize the fact? We've got Google and Siri for that. In the future, people will be hired because of what they can do with their knowledge and they can creatively solve real-world problems, not just follow instructions and directions. And that's what STEM is all about. In class, if you want to get a kid to hate reading, give them this, a school textbook, a science textbook, and some people think that it's the student's fault to be bored in class. That hurts me. They say you can lead a horse to the water, but you can't make them drink. And to that I say no. Firstly, you could put salt in the horse's hay and make them thirsty. And if you can bring joy in the classroom and you can make any bad student nerdy as he or she discovers the beauty of true learning. Ask this question: how do you prepare a child for a future that doesn't yet exist? Here's a hint to the answer. It's not found in the basic STEM education right now. It is using your heart, your brain, and the arts that you see around the world right now. In the future, we would need to be more passionate and compassionate people with inspired hearts and wisdom to uplift this planet, and that can only happen if we were to break down the line between arts and STEM education. Thank you.
Okay, thank you to the speaker and his remarks. I would like to pass on to our last speaker of today, the third speaker for the opposition.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So starting in 3, 2, 1. Before we deal with our very misguided government team Let's first draw a very fine line between government team and also opposition team, what we're trying to reach, our goal today, right? So on the government side, what they're trying to do is to incorporate arts into STEM, meaning that they're teaching arts as a separate subject from the STEM, from science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. We want to make this very clear. So what they're teaching, they're already defined under their arts is like expressive arts, fine arts, history, social studies, all these kind of things under STEAM. But what we're doing today on the government side is that we only want to teach STEM, because my speakers have really proved to you very clearly that why arts does not really relate to all these kinds of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. They have really proved to you very clearly that it does not really go into all these kinds of fields, because art is something which is so unrelated. It's about humanities. It's about history, about social science. It does not bind into these kinds of sciences, technology, engineering, or mathematics unless they can prove to us. But how does it actually relate to all these kind of things? But they haven't proven to us until now. And we have asked them many, many times about this issue. Yes.
I've actually proven to you about the Hubble Space Telescope. Can you actually explain about that really? Arts is involved in that. Don't say that I didn't actually explain to you any example.
Okay, so I'll address that later when I'm doing my rebuttals, right? So what we want to do today in the STEM is that if you really want to cultivate all these kind of like critical thinking, curiosity, or creativity, or any other kind of things, what we want to do is not just incorporate, just put arts into STEM and then make students learn all these kind of art subjects like music, arts, because it's not so unrelated, right? So what we can do is to actually revamp or refine the STEM curriculum. And what we can do is to incorporate elements of like creativity, thinking skills, out of the box thinking into the STEM content. And this is not teaching arts, because this is separate, this is different. Teaching arts is like teaching music, teaching painting, drawing, all these kind of things is separate. But if you incorporate it into science courses, like teaching creative thinking, how to do presentations related to the science and technology, engineering, mathematics subjects, it's not a STEAM, it's not arts as a separate subject. So now let us deal with our third speaker from the government team first. So third speaker, what he tries to tell us are two things, right? First, he tries to tell us about how we need to adapt to the different needs of students. But what I want to tell you is that this is going way off topic, right? Because the different needs of students is not about the topic for today. The topic for today is about whether arts should be included in STEM. If you really want to talk about different needs of students, then you should look into the education system of today. You are looking at the education system if you really want to talk about if you are going to adapt to different needs of students, and it's not talking about arts should be included in the STEM subjects. There's two different types of topics for today. No, thank you. Secondly, about creativity. So creativity, I will address that with what the previous speakers from government team has also mentioned, like how it is going to improve their curiosity, how it's going to improve their critical thinking skills. So all of these kind of things, we believe that we do not have to include arts as a separate subject into the STEM curriculum, into STEM itself. What we can do is that we can teach students a lot of different kind of skills like creative thinking. We can teach them, for example, where Edward de Bono, the 6 thinking hats, the different kind of hats that we can teach them to think critically, to think from different angles, to think from different perspectives, or just use things like lateral thinking skills to think from different angles and different perspectives, to teach them using in these kind of science and STEM courses. And we do not need to teach arts as a separate subject when we actually want to cultivate these kinds of skills. And then other than that, curiosity, we talk about curiosity, right? But does curiosity actually come from arts? We believe that curiosity actually comes from the person itself, just like Albert Einstein, right? Why can he come up with E equals mc squared? Because he asked himself a lot of questions. Did he take arts? No, he did not. He just took science, engineering. No, thank you. Not now. So for all these kind of people, we have a lot of scientists who actually did not take arts, but they only study the STEM subjects, the STEM subjects. And for them, all this kind of curiosity, it comes from themselves, from intrinsically, and not from coming from arts and so on, right? And then other than that, about arts and science being related. So we believe that the evidence or the proof that's been coming out from the government side is not really trying to prove that how is art and science are related. We've heard about music, we heard about like painting and drawing, but with all these kinds of subjects, we do not think that it actually relates to these kinds of STEM subjects, because music is like entirely a different thing. Like fine arts, history is a totally different thing. It does not really help with these kinds of STEM subjects where students are going to study very, very focusedly and very narrowly, right? And when we think about what government has tried to prove to us about like including design inside technology and engineering, we believe that all these kind of things are already included in the STEM, because like designing, creative planning, all these things are already incorporated into STEM. So why do you need to still teach it as an additional subject in the STEAM? So we do not understand why government side is trying to propose these kinds of arts by giving us these kinds of evidences, right? And then lastly, they say that arts and science are both equally important to find the students' potential, to make them create critical thinkers and so on. But then we need to come down to the main reason why STEM is actually introduced. It is because there's a lack of students in the STEM field, because we now be progressing towards Industrial Revolution 4.0. So what we want to do today is to have more students to go into these kind of STEM fields, but now we don't have enough people who are going into this field. That is why we introduce STEM. So we are not trying to devalue art and say that art is not important, but today we are trying to look at what is happening right now in status quo, which is STEM is very, very important because we are progressing towards IR 4.0. And it has been proven through statistics like the Bureau Labor Statistics, which show that 13% of jobs they are increasing of 13% of jobs from 2012 to 2022 in the STEM fields itself, more than all the occupations added up. And in Malaysia specifically, the critical occupation list takes up engineering and also technology. So we believe with all these points already prove to you why the opposition team is more important than government team, and we believe we take this debate for today. Thank you.
Okay, so I would like to thank everyone who participated in the debate. Well done for getting this far. This was a very heated debate. A lot of really, really good points were made. Okay, so I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you still haven't casted your vote, please do now, because every vote matters. Also, please fill up the SCPD form, and if you haven't filled up the essay disclaimer form, please do that as well. We're now calculating the scores, and the winners will be revealed after the Q&A session. So as you guys fill up all the housekeeping and stuff like that, please, we can start the Q&A session now. So if anyone has a question, please raise your hand and wait on me to call on you. Okay, while we wait for questions to come in, I personally have a question for the opposition team. I am in engineering, I'm a chemical engineer, and one of my assignments is to design a video for our lab. I would like to tell you the amount of confusion and the amount of uncertainty on how we're supposed to make an interesting video was spectacular. We did not know what to do. I believe if we had creative experience, we would have been able to probably do a better job in this and not be as confused as to what's happening. So please, can you tell me how not including arts in STEM would help me, an engineer? Like, I'm confused as an engineer.
Okay, so as an engineer, right, the reason why this video is on your curriculum is because you're expected to be able to do it, yes? Correct?
Correct.
It's something
I'm expected to know how to be creative.
Correct?
Hmm?
So what you're trying to say is that your entire team didn't have any creative experiences outside of your study life that would have helped with this?
We did, but we did not have any official formal learning. So we were like, we don't know how to, we have our hobbies, but how do we include our hobbies into our educational life? Those were always kept separate. We don't know how to incorporate this into that.
But how can you prove that formal education in an arts subject would actually help you with that creativity in the first place? How can you prove that?
because I think it would have helped me to answer questions and create artistic things in a formal manner.
Fair enough. But at the same time, what makes you think that you couldn't have gotten that same skill from your outside learning? What makes you think is so different between a formal learning of arts and learning of it outside in order to increase your creativity when both of them are going towards your creativity? That's just my question to you.
Can you repeat this, sorry?
So what makes you think that a formal education would have helped increase your creativity when your hobbies outside did not? At the end of the day, humans are either creative beings or they're not, right? Almost all humans are like, they are either have like an inspiration from something or they don't. In this case, you didn't get that inspiration, but maybe later you will. What makes you think a formal education would have helped your inspiration?
My problem was actually not that it would have helped my inspiration. It was that I do art outside of class. I have no idea how to connect this and that. I do not know how to connect that creativity into my STEM work life. I don't know how to apply this. And I believe that formal arts education, the whole point is how to apply arts in a formal setting.
So
fair enough.
If I may add into that, just because doing arts as a hobby isn't near enough, because it's a skill that you learn, and creativity isn't something you're born with. It's cultivated through years and years of learning. Yeah. Can you repeat that?
I'm agreeing with you. It's cultivated.
Yeah, it's cultivated. And just a moment. Let me continue my point. And saying that arts should just be a hobby and they should just be learned outside school and they shouldn't be integrated into our curriculum, it diminishes arts, like their value and all of that. There are so many art field majors on so many universities. So saying that you don't need prior education to be in those majors, it's very insulting, because you do need education just as much as you need education to be an engineering student. You do need it to be an art major student or whatever. I'm an English major, and I did take a lot of English in my school, and I really blame my school for not giving me enough, because I don't feel as ready as you guys are. For 12 years, you guys took science and biology and chemistry and math, and then it was way harder for you as the year, the things got harder and more complicated and more complex as the years went by. But we always took the same things in literature and so on. So when I graduated and I went to university as a major, I wasn't as prepared as you guys, and that's the thing I'm talking about. It's unfair that this education focuses on STEM students and only supports them. Where is our support? Where is my support? Why didn't school support me in my education and my passion? And they should have provided that from a young age. I'm not saying that everyone should be forced to take arts or everyone should be forced to take science and math, but it should be an option from a young age so people can know that they can expand on these knowledge. Even if they don't pursue them in the future, it's just good to know. It's good to know about things. Like, there's so much that we're missing on because we haven't been taught in school, and just having it as a hobby isn't just as effective. It's very hard to have a hobby and on your own and learn everything from your own and so on. So yeah.
Very true, like what she said. You see, once you use objects in class to explain to a student, that's already a form of art, It's not explaining facts. Stems are like you're giving the facts to them, and you're just like regurgitating information. These facts, you can find it from where? You can find it from the Google. You can find it from research papers and everything. You don't need to have, but people, they have this creative mindset, and where they put in this creative mindset into these learning skills, and that's from there itself it nurtures. Let me ask you, when you were a kid, your mom, she wants to teach you maths, how does she teach you? She teaches you using apples, correct? 1 apple plus another apple, and it's equal to 2 apples. This is a thing, is a form of art itself already from there. We are not putting art as a hobby or something. That's the thing. I feel like the opposition team have gotten it very, very wrongly. So that's all.
sorry, I want to add in as well. Okay, basically, I think the way you really put arts into STEM is you put such a negative perspective that we're like intruding in STEM and like trying to disrupt the whole system. That is very, very far from the attempt that we're working at. So as I mentioned before, I don't think you recall, but a research study actually said that visual arts has a real potential to improve cognitive skills in STEM education. So what we're saying is, okay, it could be formal, it could be informal. That really is a matter for universities and schools to decide. But the option doesn't even exist to begin with. We don't even have, STEM students don't really have the option to explore their creativity outside of their field. I think that arts are it's a complement to STEM. It's not meant to disrupt STEM or discredit all the work that engineers do. It's meant to add on to it. So yeah, that's all I have to say.
From my opinion, I think that we should not incorporate all of the subject into STEM. Like for Dina, you are doing a video, right? You can just target what creativity you need and you just target on that information. If you want a formal education, a whole lot subject, you will learn a lot of unnecessary information that will help you on your video. Yeah, that's my point.
Those unnecessary information is the thing that you can use.
Included in the voting. Can I say something? The Q&A session isn't included in the voting, audience. Please remember that. Please remember that before I say this. I completely agree with the government. Okay? Like, yo.
Okay.
Do you have any
wait.
how dumb this debate is?
Yeah, true.
Like, we shouldn't even be debating about it at this point. Honestly speaking, sorry.
I mean, like, yeah, right. I know.
Please, audience, don't think of this when you.
Okay, did I say something wrong?
Down.
Okay.
I mean, like the way you said the unnecessary part is quite backstabbing to arts and creative thinking. But yeah.
Okay. I'm so sorry. Doesn't include my personal views.
It's all right.
Really great job. You know, it didn't show. I feel like you were completely like, trying to put it down, but like you say this now. I mean, I think you did a great debating job personally.
Okay.
Yeah.
Audience, again, please don't think of this when you think of this. In actuality, the opposition, I feel like we all agree with the government on this case. Like, because it's personal experience, right?
Yes, actually, I do love arts. I was thinking of doing laws, Yes,
Okay,
I love
guys.
arts. I love arts. No offense, I didn't mean to hurt you art peoples, okay?
Agree. Jesus Christ.
Okay.
Oh my God. That was the hardest debate, actually.
I would like to just read the meeting chat, what they've been saying there. So someone has said, regardless of whether formal learning would help creativity or not, it does not allow for higher exposure to learning skills, and statistically in itself would at least allow students to have an opportunity to learn skills traditionally related to arts, such as photo editing and video editing, which he says would have helped me. And and then someone else said that I don't think incorporating art into STEM is synonymous to teaching art subjects. This is to say art should not be added into STEM, but rather incorporated into the teaching system. Okay, and are there any more questions or comments someone wants to say? Any more comments, any more questions?
Yes,
Because
just for
if
the
not,
sake of the audience, Chun Kai, we did say that as our second point that art can be included into the teaching system. Chen Chen also included that, but it doesn't change the fact that I feel like our personal opinions as like students of the 21st century is like really annoyed that we didn't have that formal art education in school, because like all that video editing shit would like have helped me too. Like, it's something that we had to pick up extra, and it's so sad because it's something that is really required in the modern world. Like, you can't actually have one without the other.
Yeah.
True. It might help you in some way of your life one day when you come across. Suddenly, who knows, you see, like, I think Dina, yeah? So, who knows, suddenly she has to learn video editing. I mean, know about video editing suddenly in her university life. So sometime, somewhere in your path you will cross and you will have to learn something new.
Exactly. Okay, so does anyone have any questions or remarks? Okay, so if that is the case, we will be ending our Q&A session and we will be announcing our winners. Okay, so it was very, very close. It was very close. The proposition had 23 votes and the opposition had 22. So today's winner would be the proposition. And well done, guys. You did a very good job. Congratulations. I think so much of us agree with the motion. And I would like to announce our overall best speaker for today, a first-time debater. Sara, well done very much. You did a really good job for first time.
No way. Oh my god. Thank you guys.
Overall. So congratulations, everyone. Thank you for coming. And I hope you had fun in this very heated debate. Yeah. And,
before you guys go, let's take a picture.
Oh yeah, and everyone, can you please turn on your cameras so we can take a final picture. Once again, well done to the proposition and opposition. You did a very good job. It was 1 point, guys.
Good job, guys.
Sorry, for next time we should debate together.
Oh my God, please. Oh God. If we do debate again, allow us to have like a coin toss of who can get opposition and proposition, because like, why? I wanted to so be for government at this point. I think Jinjian and Jinhui also wanted to be for government. Yeah.
That's so hard. I love
as Varga announced that we were opposition, I was like, oh my gosh, what can we say? Like, you didn't know what we should say.
But you guys had such good points. You guys like had really good points.
Yeah, I was convinced. Like.
No, but like
me too.
As a modern student, right? As a student of the 21st century, as a student of 2020, you can't just have science and STEM without arts. It's impossible. It's literally impossible. Like, it's really difficult to like debate against. Sarah, if we do debate again, coin toss, please.
Okay.
Okay, everyone. So should we take pictures?
Arrange another event for us. Thank you.
Yes.
All right. If everyone's ready, let me take a picture now. Thank you so much for joining Debatethon. Cool. 1 second. Just let me change the view and see.
Oh wait, I want this to be good.
Okay. 2, 3.
20 years have to show.
1. All right, got it. Thank you so much.
Well done, everyone. Thank you for coming to our event.
Big thanks to Vartika for also planning this. She did so much work for this to
happen.
Yes, Vartika. Woo!
No worries.
And also, as people are leaving, can you please also sign the feedback form so we can improve on our next debate? Yeah, if we have another one, it'd be great. Yay!
Thank you for organizing the event.
Bye.
Thank you guys. Bye.
Bye.
Goodbye, guys. Have a good coursework weekend. Okay. Okay, let's go.